Hey everyone, in this quick tutorial I'm going to show you how you can import the 3D model of a historical artifact into Twinmotion to help you build your museum. First of all, it's important to understand how incredibly intuitive Twinmotion is. I love the fact that when you launch Twinmotion, it starts with this menu here that tells you how to basically move through the world. You can see here there's menus along the side that we can add, or we can hide or reveal that have really simple and elegant icons that tell you what they contain. That's really useful. Before I import that model, however, I think I want to change one or two settings. One of the settings I'm going to change is the speed with which we move. I'm going to switch that to walking speed. So what I did there is I simply clicked on this eye, went down to the speed icon, and I'm going to choose walking speed simply because I'm concerned that when I import this model, if I move around too quickly, it might be difficult for me to keep track of where this model is. So I'm just going to make that little switch right off the start. So let me show you how to import a model. So I'm going to go down to my menu down here. That's import. I'm going to click here. It says click to import file. So I'm going to click on this big plus button. It's going to bring up this menu. I can ignore most of the stuff on here, the import direct link landscape options. You can ignore all of that and focus on this button right here. If you click open, you now need to navigate to your 3D model that you've downloaded or that you've created. Now, if you download a 3D model, there is a good chance that it will be in a zip file and you'll have to extract all the files in there first before you try and add it to your world. So just keep that in mind. I have already extracted all the content from this folder. I'm going to click on the object, hit open, hit OK, and wait a moment, and we should see the model. Now, I will tell you that sometimes the textures, the skin of the models, don't import properly because of the file structure. If you encounter that, please take a look at the video tutorial about materials that may help you. Now, I've imported this model, but we don't see it in the viewport. And even when I look around, I don't really see it anywhere obvious. So I know why this is happening, but before we do that, what I'm going to do is add a character into this viewport. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I want to have a quick reference point for size. Because I'm going to show you one of the problems of importing models to Twinmotion. So I'm going to drag this cutout here. And I'm choosing a cutout simply because cutouts are a lot smaller than 3D models. They're basically pictures as opposed to complex models. So here we have two men, and I've got them on the ground, which is great. So you'll note here that if I click on the icon here, Ben and Joe talking, and I hit the F key, which means frame, the shot is framed around them, right? Well, I can use this same technique to find out where our object is. So I'm going to click on the object once, I'm going to hit F. Here it is. Now, it seems to me like our object is actually just a little too far away from center here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to click and drag on these little arrows right here. So I'm just dragging. Oh, a little laggy there. Let's see what happens. Let's try that again. I'm going to click and drag over, and I'm just going to move this model a little bit closer to where the two men are standing. Because what I want you to notice is that there's another problem with this model. And the problem with the model is that it's not in the right scale. Let's see, that's pretty close. I think I can probably get it closer than that, though. Let's move it over just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, that's good enough. So the problem with this model is that it's the wrong scale. So if I move down here a little bit, you'll see why. This is actually the Rosetta Stone, which is a really important historical artifact. And the Rosetta Stone, in real life, is about 1/2 to 3/4 the size of an adult. So it should be, when it's standing up, roughly just above this gentleman's elbow, between the elbow and the shoulder. So first of all, I'm going to rotate this model. I'm going to click on this icon here and choose rotate, just so I have it kind of standing up. And I'm going to use these quarter moons that we see here. I click and drag to move the object around a little bit till I get it standing up the way it's supposed to. Now that looks about right. We have to adjust a little bit later. Oh, it's a little tilted this way. Let's go that way, and it's a little tilted that way, so right there. Okay, that's better. Let me switch back to our move tool. Move it a little bit closer, and you could really see that this isn't clearly not the right size. It's barely above their ankles, really, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play with the scale. So I'm going to go back to our tool here. I'm going to choose scale. Now this brings up this icon. Now I could click and drag on each of these individually, but that will kind of stretch the model as opposed to move it equally in on three planes, right? So if you ever try to adjust a photo before in Photoshop or something like that, you know what happens if you just stretch it in one way. It just gets distorted, right? Well, we don't want that. So I'm going to click in the middle of this object and hold, and I'm just going to kind of pull down here. Sometimes, depending on the orientation of the model, I find that I have to kind of push the mouse up instead of down, but that's okay. So that's a little bit better. I'm going to click back down here and switch to move, because I notice the model is partially hidden by the ground there. Let me just see how we're doing here. I'm going to move it a little bit closer and see if we just need to adjust it a little bit more. It's better. Still feels a little small. I still see it's a little tilted too. So I'm going to go back and to rotate. I'm going to try and move it just a little bit more. I think that's a little bit more upright. Yes, it is. And how's it going? Yeah, that's pretty good. I feel like it still needs to be taller, so I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to scale. Scale up a little bit more. Switch back to move. And there we have it. We have the Rosetta Stone added to our world, and it's at roughly the right height. And what's interesting here too, let me just drop down a little bit, is that you get a really good idea of why Twinmotion is such a powerful tool, right? Look at the quality of the scan. So there you have it. I hope you found this tutorial useful, and good luck with embedding your models in a 3D space.